Hello, and welcome to KDL Season 3 with BB vs. Loem, cast by Wolf Dota. Thanks for joining me,
Radiant's
and
banned.
let's hope it's a good game. I haven't watched any of these before streaming them, or sorry, recording them,
Dire's banned.
so we'll see how this cast goes. We have a quick Razor ban
Radiant's
followed by a
banned.
Tinker ban.
Dire's
Lycan
banned.
for the Beat Boys, which is, sorry,
Ah,
Bet Boys. Which
Radiant's
is
pit.
pretty standard bands, Brewmaster standard, all of them, nothing crazy. So we'll see what the first pick is. Death Prophet from Bet Boys, so they
Dire's
secure some
pick.
early push.
Tide Hunter.
And Loam quickly picks up a Tide Mirana,
Radiant's
which
pick.
is probably an offlaner and a very solid team fight. And then I imagine probably a safe lane carry, maybe a roaming support. We'll see.
Radiant's
Nature's
banned.
Prophet, so Bet Boy's going more in for the push strat with a Prophet pick. And he'll probably be the safe laner. Death Prophet probably in the mid lane.
Dire's
And
banned.
then Bet Boys ban out the Rasta, which I imagine they didn't want. They figure they have their push and they don't want, I imagine, Loam or Lotem. I guess that would be how you say that. Lotem
10 seconds to
is
go.
they don't want them to have any push of their own.
Radiant's banned.
Lotem bans the Undying, who's a very strong laner and very good at dealing with the Tide Hunter, as Decay is just nasty against strength heroes.
Dire's
Hurts them
banned.
so much. Bet Boys bans out the Void, so... Oh, sorry about that. A strong laner, as well as,
10 seconds to
wow,
go.
a decent laner, but strong, very strong in the mid game and can
Five
easily set
seconds.
up ganks if he decides to go for a Scepter. Setting up a chrono, even if it's a two or so
Reserve
man chrono, you
time.
can focus down one hero and then shoot an arrow so the other person is still stunned after the chrono ends. We'll see what Lotem wants to ban out next. And they ban out the Visage, so
Radiant's
they're
pick.
scared of them having all that extra vision. And on the Visage is pretty solid push, especially if you get a Scepter. Lotem quickly picks up a Wraith
Dire's
King,
pick.
which I feel like is going to be a support Wraith King in this game. Um, Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a support Wraith King, as they don't have any other
Radiant's pick.
setup for the Mirana, so you can throw a Wraith Fire Blast into an arrow.
Dire's banned.
On the side of Bet Boys, they pick up a Viper, who can easily win a normally easily win a lane and dominate a lane, as well as just very hard to harass back. Lotem picks up the DK, which I
Ten
assume they're
seconds to
thinking
go.
as a some push of their own, as well as
Five
a
seconds.
bit of a counter to Viper, as with such high armor and health regen, he's not too worried about the Viper
Reserve
harass.
time.
Now, Bet Boys do pick up the Witch Doctor, which is a very powerful support, and will probably be laning with the Viper. Imagine it'll be a Nature's Prophet off lane, Death Prophet mid, and then the Viper Witch Doctor +1 safe. Unless Bet Boys want to pick up another one and go pretty greedy and have a jungler as well, and then they can pick up an offlaner and have the Prophet jungle. But level 1 Prophet jungle is not that great, so we'll see what they decide to go for. Lotem, I'm thinking it's so far it'll be a Tide offlane, Mirana Wraith King +1, and then a DK in the mid lane. The Witch Doctor brings a lot of sustain to any pushes, and Viper, who will most likely go in for a very early mech, is also very
Radiant's
solid.
ban.
Interesting, a lot of them go for the Treant Protector, not wanting Bet Boys to have that, and then in addition to their strong push, making it even that much harder for a lot of them to push back. With if they can't take a full tower in one push, if they can only get it half down or so next time if they go at it, it'll be fully up.
Dire's pick.
Bet Boys do ban the Skywrath Mage, which is always a good hero to ban. He's so powerful in the laning phase and then in the roaming as a roaming support with concussive shot and some arcane bolts, as well as the very powerful silence, which can be really hard for Mirana to deal with if you lead off with a silence concussive shot. She won't be able to leap away, and then that lets you get a follow-up silence from
Ten
the Death
seconds to
Prophet or
go.
a stun coming out from maybe Witch Doctor or another hero.
5 seconds.
Yeah, it's
Reserve
interesting that Bad Boys
time.
would ban that. But Lotem will be happy with that. Lotem needs a imagine they need a second support of some sort. Maybe they want to pick up another team fight hero. Something like an Earthshaker maybe. Or
Enchantress.
Radiant's pick.
they decide to go for an early Enchantress. And sorry, not an early Enchantress, but an Enchantress to help out their early game. What with being able to push with the neutrals, as well as secure some farm and the ability to gank the lanes. And Bet Boys pick up a Ancient Apparition, very strong support again, able to apply a lot of bonus magical damage, coming out with his Chilling Touch, as well as the potential for the stun with the Cold Feet. Now, if Witch Doctor gets a decent bounce or two, it'll be almost a guaranteed imprisonment from the Frozen Feet. Just waiting for one more on Lotem to pick, and we'll see what the laning phase will be. I imagine it'll be Mirana, Wraith King top, Dragon Knight mid, and Tide in the offlane with Enchantress in the jungle for Lotem. And then for the team of Bet Boys, they'll probably be going with something along the lines of, excuse me, along the lines of a Viper, Witch Doctor, AA bottom, Nature's Prophet in the offlane, and Death Prophet in the mid. We do see the Lotem going as 5 down the bottom lane. Oh, forgot to change my settings. So we'll see what they want to go for. And they do smoke at their tier 2, or sorry, their tier 1. And they are heading into the jungle. It doesn't look like they're going to find anything. And it looks like Bad Boys is actually dodging their own, or hoping to find something as well. Do they have a smoke? They do not. So they probably want to get an aggressive ward out. And they might even be going to have the Prophet solo the safe lane, and then have the their tri-lane be an aggressive one. Which honestly is a pretty good aggressive tri-lane. We'll see the Witch Doctor go for. Oh, excuse me, sorry about the yawns, everybody. See the Witch Doctor go for some early Voodoo Restoration, just for that extra support in the lane. It is very strong, and we do see the teams rotating. The Enchantress did stay to probably steal an aggressive creep of some sort, maybe hope to gank the safe lane, whatever it might be, but.
And here we go.
Maybe in a risky situation, depending on the movements coming up from Bet Boys. But it doesn't look like he'll be safe, and everything is avoided.
Radiant on one side, Dire on the other.
And so it is going to be an aggressive lane coming out from them, which is always exciting to watch. I'll have to keep a very close eye on that, make sure that nothing goes wrong. They will have to be careful. The Wraith King Wraith Fire Blast into a Mirana arrow is a lot of control and damage, even early. And Wraith King isn't the isn't the softest hero at level 1. He's not necessarily the tankiest, but it will be tough to go on that. And so we're gonna, as the lanes shape up, we're gonna have a DK versus a Death Prophet, a Tide versus a Nature's Prophet, and then a dual lane versus a tri-lane consisting of Skeleton King and a Mirana versus a Witch Doctor and an AA Viper. But we do have Enchantress aggressively in the jungle. Has taken over Wildkin, but it has since died. So we'll see what they decide to do. So far, DK is ahead in CS, quickly followed by the Death Prophet, which is not surprising. Both of them having very good spam to make sure they get all the last hits. Mirana is doing fairly well, 6-0, 5-0, 6-0. Oh, sorry, 5-1 for her. And then the Viper is right up there as well. So all the farmers staying fairly consistent. In the offlane, we do have the Prophet, one ahead of the Tide, but that's not that unexpected. I'm sure with the help of the Treants might be able to get that. Skeleton King is rotating down and is going to find himself an Invis rune. Now, the Radiant will have full vision of this, and if he walks up here, they will even see him invis. But looks like he's going to try and go mid, which isn't going to be easy as the Death Prophet's staying on the far side of the tower from him. He is bottle crowing. Oh, gotta be careful. The DK is high enough level, so if they get a Wraithfire, if Death Prophet goes down at all, he's going to be in some serious trouble. And they decide not to go so far, but in the meantime we do have Enchantress ganking Nature's Prophet with a Centaur. Centaur's going to get the stun, cancel the teleport with an Ursa Clap and the Anchor Smash follow-up. That's enough to get the kill. Meanwhile, mid, they did decide to go. What Wraithfire Blast was used, as well as a Dragon Tail, but did not have enough damage to finish it out. Top, we have them being aggressive on the Mirana once they realize she is alone, and there was that Chilling Touch doing a lot of damage. But she's able to leap away and then stay safe. Oh, good first blood coming out from the Lotem guys. Now, the way to counter one of these push strats is to take an early lead. And I know that's often easier said than done, because it is hard to try and go aggressive into a lineup that is meant to push. That said, an arrow does come out, and we see the Prophet already rotating top with Treants. They're trying to take down an early tower. But if you can repel these a couple of early pushes, or even just give up a tower without giving out much, you can kind of take the wind out of their sails per se. In that strategies like this are picked and based around one thing, whereas Lotem has a much more stable lineup to go into the late mid game and the late game. Now that said, you gotta always have to be careful with the Nature's Prophet. The ultimate rat can win a game just through the split pushing. There's not enough space created. But if they just let these go, or even if they trade with an Enchantress on the other team, they're doing a lot of damage to this bottom tower. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes down. Tide able to clear the creeps. And we do have 3 TPs coming in: Nature's Prophet, AA, and the Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor stun gonna come out. Decides not to throw it. It would have only hit him once, and wouldn't have been able to kill the Tide anyway. They almost get the bottom tower, which is good because Enchantress can go grab some more creeps, and then when these guys have to rotate out, eventually they'll go. Wraithfire Blast onto the Viper, followed up by an arrow, some right clicks. Unfortunately, Viper is gonna be able to just TP away, and they know it, so they let him go. Back to the CS in mid lane. Death Prophet's 2 last hits ahead of the DK, which is fine. DK's not going to be too worried about that. But at the same time, Death Prophet will have a slight advantage. But we'll see how this goes. Both these heroes really want to get 6, and then they can rotate and do a significant amount of damage to the other team's towers and stuff. We do have DK rotating bottom as they are going on the Tide. Tide does have Ravage. He's level 6. Ravage on 2. Looks like they're going to be able to pick up the AA. They might be able to get the Witch Doctor. We'll see. He does have his Voodoo Restoration ticking. It is level 2. He is dropping, and he does drop slow enough. So it looks like a 2 for O exchange. And Dragon Tail going to be used on the Prophet. Is it? Strange decision. He decides not to go for it.
Radiant lost one of them
I feel like
bottom
they could have.
towers.
But they do get a good rotation. 2
Dyer's
kills
mid-tower could use
coming
a
out
little
for the
help.
Dire as well as the tower. Now, Radiant looks to answer back with some aggression of their own. Death Prophet ulti being used. Now, Wraithfire Blast is thrown out. Gush onto the Viper. But Tide is taking a lot of damage from the Corrosive Skin and the Ghosts. Gonna get healed up by the Enchantress. And we'll see if they're able to defend this push. Just a slow siege, and nope, no deny. Looks like he's gonna go for it. Arrow does land on the Witch Doctor. He is getting hurt, and he does manage to drop. Nice Brief Fire coming out there. That is a fairly high level. And they're going in. Anchor Smash onto the Death Prophet. She throws out a Crypt Swarm that does bring the Tide low enough to bring down. Viper is having to retreat, but he really wants to get a couple more hits off. Now the Dragon Knight's going to be in a lot of trouble. That Viper Strike and Nether Toxin doing a lot of damage to him. He does go down. They are going on the AA, but it looks like he's going to be able to walk away. Again, Viper is just doing so much damage in these early fights with Nether Toxin.
Trouble brewing at Radiant's
Enchantress is
bottom
able to get
tower.
away. Wraithnet is juking through the trees, so there's a Sprout, and that'll be the end of the Wraith King, sorry. So, it looks like a 3 for O exchange as well as a mid-tier 1 for the side of Radiant, which is very good. That's what they needed. They were a push strat that was behind. which is never great. Now, the gold graph will show that they're probably a fair bit ahead, but that is also with one tower advantage. So we'll see how they if they're able to keep that gold. Experience is about 1,000 ahead for the Dire, which is to be expected with the extra kills and stuff and whatnot. But the gold graph, about 500 advantage of the Radiant, which is a sharp increase from the a 2,000 gold swing with that fight for the side of the Radiant. They're able to get on the board. With the DK ulti back up and a decent sized creep wave, they're going to probably look to see and see if they can do a fair bit of damage to this tower. We do have the AA TPing in and the Witch Doctor and the Death Prophet rotating around, so we'll see what they want to do. They do drop a ward up here, so they will be able to see. I don't know if that ward sees in there or not. I think it does. Oh, that's funny. Putting wards in the same place. Cryptstorm's coming out, spamming out the wave, throws a cask to send the creeps. Does bounce into the heroes a little bit, that's gotta be annoying. Now, Enchantress Untouchable isn't that good this game. They don't really have anyone who right-clicks fast. Viper just chunks you away slowly. Like, he's not a fast hitter. He just poof.
Dire's bottom tower's getting the
He gets the Nether Toxin bonus damage as well as the poison attack slow. And then Nature's Prophet doesn't right-click until later in the game anyway. Which, speaking of, he is ratting bottom. Looking to go on that. Tide does TP in. Ravage is online if he decides to spend it. Is he going to use it? He decides not to. It's probably for the best. Don't want to waste it on just trying to pick off a Nature's Prophet, especially this early in the game. They do pop Exorcism. It is still level 1, so it's only that forward. Should be 8 ghosts. Doesn't mean you push that fast. Viper Strike coming out on the Enchantress, and Viper's doing a lot of damage. Air comes out. It does miss Crypt Swarm, and looks like the Enchantress is going to go down. Last few attacks. So we'll see how Lotem looks to respond. They do have Ravage online, and the Wraith King. Oh, Hasted Tide running in is gonna Ravage. Gets a 4-man Ravage. Very nice. Stun comes out onto the Death Prophet, followed by a Breathe Fire. But the Crypt Swarm brings 3 of them low. Viper able to pick off the DK. Enchantress running away. She is gonna drop low. The 3 very low for Lotem, and none on the side of Beat Boys down. Not looking great for them, but we'll see how they can still defend this tower or not. Exorcism is down, and the Witch Doctor is basically out of mana for Voodoo Restoration. So, Glyph is popped. Rana rotating back in. She isn't level 6 yet, unfortunately. She gonna look for a arrow, pick someone off on the retreat, and decides not to. So far, I imagine it's a fairly large goal swing in favor. Yeah, look at that. From last time we looked at another almost 1,500, 2,000 gold increase for the side of the Radiant, and experience is now 1,200 or so in their favor. And they're going to answer back with a push. Just both teams focusing on push. This reminds me a lot of, I recently watched the TI1 Grand Finals between Na'Vi and D-Home, which it was a lot of up and down mid, back and forth team fighting.
Just then, the Radiant disowned their mid tower,
and the tower does get denied, which is got to be a little disheartening for Lotem after spending so much time and investing so much time in gold into trying to get that, and then just to have them deny it, as well as Nature's Prophet. The rat taking place is able to bring down that tower. We'll see if they respond. Skeleton King is sitting behind the Mirana, just poking experience. Try to protect. Imagine he'll want to tank the gank. Let's take a quick look at the items. Anything interesting coming out? We do I do believe we have a Midas. Yeah, Midas out for the Prophet. And the tower does go down. I didn't even see that happen. Death Prophet uses Exorcism Magic to get it. Looks like a lot of them had decided just to sack it, and that they weren't getting anything done. They were just feeding kills and needed to split up and farm. Back to what I was saying about the items. Viper's on his way to the mech. In fact, I would say he has it. Death Prophet looks like he's going for Yules. Getting fairly close. The Witch Doctor looking good with some Arcane Boots and the Ancient Apparition level 6 with a Urn of Shadows. Probably start saving up for a Scepter now. Prophet does have a Midas and the Staff of Wizardry, so I imagine he'll be going for a Force Staff or Tools or some sort. I don't think he'd be going for a Scepter. There's not a whole lot else you build with that item. Unless he is doing going straight in for the Necro Book, which is probably what he's doing, the more obvious item. On the side of the Mirana, looks like he just picked up his Ring of Aquila phase, so decent mid-game items, but by 12 minutes you want to start looking at getting something a lot better. Maybe working into a Yasha or the start of a Maelstrom or something along those lines. Which is, so he is behind, and at only 36 CS, he probably knows it. Skeleton King support, playing that 5 role. Enchantress, and not sure what she's gonna go for. She's got almost 1,000 gold in the bank, so could go for a drums or pick up a mech for the team, which I think would be really good for them since they've been fighting so much. BK is working towards that. Excuse me. BKB, which, while good and will protect him from the AA and some of the other nukes coming out, doesn't really help against the Witch Doctor Ultimate or the Exorcism, both of which are physical damage. So BKB is not that good. Bottom, we do have the Tide. Not sure what he was doing back down here, but probably just trying to push out the lane. He got rotated onto from 4. He looks like he's working for a maybe he's the one who's going for the mech with that chainmail. Nice, what he thinks you can build with that item. Let's see what he wants to go for. The Dire is posturing to get never mind, they're TPing back to defend their tier 2. Exorcism is popped. Death Pop is still not level 11, so it isn't all that powerful yet, but it's still going to do a lot of damage to that tower. Moonlight Shadow coming out. Sentry is dropped. Nice. Ice Blast coming out. Does force them back a little bit. See if Mirana wants to go for an arrow. Breathe Fire coming out from the DK. Unfortunately, they're standing on 2 sentries here. So the Wraith King is going to drop. He does have his ulti though. Nice Ravage coming out. And the Death Prophet does manage to get bursted down. Nature Prophet TP's in. Dragonfire coming out. He does manage to secure the kill on the Witch Doctor. Now the rest of them dropping low and running, having to back off. Do they have enough to chase? Not sure if the stun will be able to catch. We'll have to look for a Mirana arrow. Nature Prophet does manage to get out. And the Viper is able to juke them out, which is good. That's a good return fight coming out for them. They do use some of their cooldowns, but that's what they're there for. They are able to secure 3 kills and defend their tower. And unfortunately, they will not be able to get any objectives, as Nature Prophet does have the lanes pushed in. But that is a good swing for them. A quick look at the graph, pulling it down from a 5,000 gold lead to probably around 3.5k, which is an improvement anytime you win a fight. The experience is back down to about 0, so both teams coming out so far fairly even as far as that. We don't have any stacks coming out for the Tide yet, which I think is interesting. That they haven't been bothering to do that. Tide Hunter, of course, amazing at picking off stacks. So far, just sitting on a casual chainmail, which I'm not sure why he hasn't turned that into something a little better. Prophet does pick up his level 1 Necro Book, so the rat is real with this guy. And we'll see him split pushing lanes. Hopefully, he's probably just going to finish it. Oh, Tide does pick up a Blink Dagger, so opting not to pick up the mechanism, but does pick up an initiation tool. What I was saying about Nature Prophet is we'll see him get a Shadow Blade or a Blink, both of which are very good in this situation. Blink's a little better since they don't have a lot of instant damage. Everything is either right clicks or animate spells with a bit of a fly time, if you will. Like the Wraithfire Blast takes a second to get there, so you can blink and maybe not disjoint it, but you can blink in the trees and disjoint the other team. We do have Tide aggressively diving the tower. Does force some rotations, able to blink and TP out. That said, Death Prophet does change. Unfortunately, too many of the Dire were up around the Radiant tier 1 offlane, and Death Prophet and the Witch Doctor are able to just push the wave in and secure that tower. So Lotem's going to have to look to stop the bleeding somehow. They need to be able to use an effective smoke or moonlight shadow to secure 2 or 3 more kills, and then they have to hope that it's close enough to a tower that they can force force another fight. Because I would say with the Death Prophet ulti down, the third team fight is significantly stronger. Now that said, you can't ever really count out a Death Ward or a Wraith Ice Blast. We do have a nice Ravage coming in on 5, followed by a Starfall on that. The Witch Doctor ult does come out, but he is able to get stunned up by the arrow and brought down by the rest of the team. So far, it's a 2 for O exchange. We do have the Tide able to just blink away from the right click that would have killed him. And now that they're starting to clean up, only the 2 Prophets left. Moonlight Shadow comes out. They are dropping low. There is, unfortunately, a Radiant Observer Ward there. Tide comes, Blink, Gush, and then a Dragon Tail comes out, and the Death Prophet able to hide and dive into the trees and blink away. So somehow, miraculously, a 4 for 0 exchange coming out in favor of Lotem, which is just what they needed. So many of them were so close to death that I am just shocked that they weren't able, none of them went down. There was some excellent play coming out from the Tide, able to blink away underneath some Viper auto attacks that would have killed him with the Nether Toxin, the additional bonus damage. And we'll see the gold graph and the experience graph dropping sharply. The experience graph almost straight down with those quick, concise kills. There's never something you want to see for the other team. Now, the experience more than 4k in favor of Lotem, as well as the gold, dropping down to about 2500 in favor of Bat Boys, which is not all that much. We do have Mirana pushing the off lane. Oh, sorry, yeah, pushing the off lane. Does have a set of drums up, so a good early fighting item. Now, the unfortunate part of going Aquila and drums is that your inventory gets full really quick, especially if you have a magic wand and teleport scroll. You only have room to build one more item before you have to start selling selling your net worth, which is something that you never want to do. You want to build efficiently into items that build into other items. So that's why getting an early Yasha is so good. Even if you don't upgrade it right away, you can build it into a Manta or an SNY, and it's such good effectiveness. And even if you leave it at that for a long time, the extra mobility and right click, especially for an agility carry like that, is fantastic. And we do have Death Prophet, who is popping ulti, still not level 11, not 20 minutes in. They do manage to take the tier 2 nonetheless, but that's unfortunate. Now the Radiant does manage to trade. Nice Ravage coming out, catches on 4, I believe, and they're able to quickly pick off the AA. The Viper is dropping low. Death Ward coming out. Do they have anything to cancel it? They don't. They're going to have to back off. Nature's Prophet is in a lot of trouble, and it is going to be nuked down before he can teleport out. Dragon Tail onto the Death Prophet, followed by some Impetus shots, a Ray Fire Blast, and that's going to be a dead Death Prophet. So for a 4 for 0 exchange coming out inside of Lotem. So their push is still up and running. The DK form is about to wear out, but I think they'll be able to keep going. They have an urn somewhere. Yeah, it is on. Oh, nice Ice Blast coming out, and the instant buyback from the Death Prophet. So they're going to back from that. All of them covered out. They're going to back off, TP out, and heal up. Good fight coming with them. So the gold graph will now be in their favor, I imagine, and the experience graph will probably be around, I was going to say 10k, but it's like 8,000 or so. No, 9,000. Which is good. We might see them transition to a Roche here. Bat Boys have no vision around the Roche pit, except for this ward, which doesn't actually see into Roche, but it will give them a pretty good idea. Idea as to what they were up to. And with the AA ult almost always up, you can easily see that fly in there and check Roche. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Tidehunter did manage to pick up his Blink, which is always good. And as you can see, Prophet did just pick up his Necro 3. So he is going to, if he gets near a tower, it is going to drop very, very quickly. The Skeleton King still sitting at Magic Wand and Brown Boots. Fine. The Enchantress is getting very tanky. Some extra health coming out from both the Urn and the Drums, and Treads if he just has to switch them to Strength Treads. And then a Hood of Defiance. Looks like he wants to build into a pipe, which will really help out his team against the spam coming out from the Death Prophet and then the AA Ice Blast. Excuse me. DK does have his BKB and 1300 gold in the bank, so I imagine he'll be looking for a Maelstrom coming out fairly quick. We probably don't want to pop his ulti to take this tower, but looks like they'll be forced back. Unfortunately, Ty does get Yule's up and silenced, brought down, hit with a Viper Strike, and taken down. So they do lose a fair bit of their tier 1, but they get the Tide in exchange, which I think they'll be happy about. Did have Ravage, but I think it was a good call deciding not to use that. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is in Rosh, but that is one thing Untouchable is really good for, is tanking Roshan. He is basically useless when you give him that much of a attack duration slow. We do have an aggressive smoke coming out from Bet Boys. They're not going to be able to find anything unless they rotate into the mid. Wraith King is sitting a sitting duck. He's probably saving up for a Blink Dagger or a Force Staff. Unfortunately, he is being hunted. Death Prophet isn't going to see him. He is looking to pick up BKB of her own, but that's just it. And nothing really comes to that. Marana does pick up a Maelstrom, so we might not see DK go for one, but Marana will be happy she has one. Excellent item on her. Great for pushing out the waves. The extra attack speed and damage is fantastic. Plus, anytime you get 1 or 2 Maelstrom procs in a fight, that's so much damage bouncing around the other team. And also, for clearing out Nature's Prophet Treants, the extra bounces can really help speed that up. Let's see. Unfortunately, if he kills that Necro, it's gonna be painful. Let's to let it go down. And we do have a 4-man smoke coming out to the sides for Lotem. They are going to find the Death Prophet.
The Dire might want to mine their top
I think.
tower.
Instant Moonlight Shadow and Yule's coming out from there. The Tide Blink didn't get the gush off, and so no follow-up coming out from the Wraith King. Ice Blast coming out is going to hit or nothing.
Might want to mine their top tower.
And Prophet will sprout and TP out. So wasted smokes for both teams, neither of them being able to find or secure any kills with them. What is Tide having coming out? DK does have 1600 in the bank, so we'll see what he wants to go for. Unfortunately, the Wraith King being forced to buy wards and smokes isn't getting anywhere near that blink anytime soon. I mean, he is halfway there, but it's going to be a long time. He's in roughly the same boat as the Witch Doctor. Yay. So just more slow push coming out from both teams. They're kind of sitting back and farming. Death Prophet is looking to stack the Ancients, which always a good thing. The Tide still hasn't stacked the Ancients or cleared them out that I know of. Which is interesting. I feel like that's the Tide could have a lot more farm if they'd been doing that for him. And now they have been rotating and fighting lots, so that does make it a lot harder to make sure you always have somebody around there at the right time to do that. What is that creep doing there? Wonder if that's just some sort of a bug or if it's actually there. Is it? Oh, it's a radiant creep. Someone picks up a dominator. What? No. It's it's an enchanted creep. What am I thinking? Dominator. Yeah. Sorry, guys. And a 5-man rotation coming out from them. Are they just gonna 5-man farm the jungle and push the lane? Not sure why they would want to do that. Meanwhile, the Nature's Prophet has picked up a Maelstrom of his own, so he is going to be ratting very, very quickly, especially with a Necro 3. Did pop it to push out the wave, and it is going to get stopped before it gets up there. Tide doesn't want to tank that, though. That Necro unit is going to be burning his mana, and it's going to hurt. Regardless. But does bring down the creep wave nonetheless. But Prophet always happy to just TP in and push out the wave. Death Prophet now level 12. Going for a BKB of his own, and he has it on the courier coming out to him. Anything interesting for the support? Witch Doctor is starting a build towards the Scepter, albeit very slowly. And it looks like The AA is now on ward duty, ward and smoke duty, letting the Witch Doctor get a little more farmed. Decided they might need the extra damage in the team fights. Viper almost has a scepter of his own, which just makes Viper Strike that much more powerful. Not to mention just the extra tankiness from the little bit of armor that you get with the Blade of Alacrity, and the 190 health coming out from the Ogre Club is very, very good for Viper. As well as being able to make sure that you can keep Viper Strike on heroes like the DK. He was attack speed down, and the Tide to just chip him down and burn him down. Tide must be going for saving up for a refresher orb fairly early on. It'll be very close if he has enough mana to actually do both.
Radiant structures must have been fortified.
But nonetheless, it is a very, very good item to have late game, as he is, I would say, the best initiation on the map. The only true initiation, which I think is one of BetBoy's problems. They don't have a way to initiate a team fight other than just running at the enemy objectives. They have no heroes with blinks, and they have no heroes that have large crowd control ultis. Now that said, they can always just pop Necropolis's ult and walk at the other base, which is honestly not as ineffective as you think, especially when you have a Witch Doctor with maxed Voodoo Restoration backing her up. Prophet who can TP in, or Rat it's needed, and a very tanky Viper to kind of sit around the front lines and zone people out. But it's just very tough to deal with that when you're halfway to where you want to be to set up your push and you get ravaged. Now, speaking of the Dire team, they are going to be taking down a Roshan, which I think is very good for them. It'll give them that little bit more they need to push. Marana does pick up a full Mjolnir, so good for her. And it doesn't look like that Big Boys knew until the end. I thought it's going to be way late. Wraith King finally able to pick up that Blink Dagger, so just more initiation coming up from Lotem, which is very good. He is level 2 now, so Reincarnate on a much, much better cooldown. Sorry, he does have level 2 Reincarnate. Not he is level 2. DK also has a Blink Dagger, so Team Blink coming with Lotem there. They have 3 of them on their team, as well as the Leap. So, Asher's the only one who has to run anymore, but we'll see what how well they decide to do that. Right now, it's not looking great for Beat Boys. They need to be able to push the lanes in, but with all these Blink Daggers, the Lotem guys are just so mobile. Coming out as far as the gold graph, it is back in favor. It is still in favor of the Radiant, but as you can see, it was down, went up, and then now is back down with that Roshan kill. What they decide to do. We do have Wraith King and Tide in the enemy jungle. They do drop a ward and they do see, but blink away. Now I imagine this will get dewarded fairly quickly. Prophet will TP in, pop a Necro Book, clear it off, or it'll get dewarded by the Witch Doctor. There it is. So we do have the Enchantress, DK top. DK is stealth. They might be looking for a pick off. I'm trying to find the Prophet. Something who has done a very good job of not dying this game. Not dying, like getting caught out. I mean, he's died in team fights, which is it's good when you have a Prophet that comes to team fights, but it's very hard to know when to do, when you're just going to be throwing away another kill, or actually able to contribute. If he had gone something along the lines of a mechanism, or maybe a more fighty build rather than a push build, it would be a lot better. Is DK still stealth? No, his is worn off. But he can pop his ulti, or sorry, just blink onto him, which looks like he's going to be doing... Yeah, there it is. They do pick up a Harpy, which the extra Arc Lightning, right, Chain Lightning pulses are going to be very, very nice for taking him down, just helping with that overall burst. But an easy pick off for Lotem, as I was just praising the Prophet for not getting picked off. And again, Tide, not sure what you're doing down here, but it's not safe for you. You don't have a team. You're all alone. Dark. Not great. See if they decide to go how hard they decide to look for that. Oh, he's gonna blink TP. So the game is slowing down a fair bit. I'm surprised we haven't seen them push at all with the Aegis pickup. Not sure how much longer it'll be until it expires, but I can check. The Aegis is gonna expire in 2 3/4 minutes, super tank. So I imagine we'll want to see Lotem push before that. Otherwise, I mean, sure, it's nice that they took the Roche, but they didn't really claim too many other objectives with it. Whereas it gave the Bet Boys 6 minutes in which to farm back a ways and kind of decrease the deficit. The Witch Doctor just dewarding everything and is still getting towards the scepter. Only 2 more pieces to go. But it's definitely not hard for them to cancel this. They have a lot of single target stuns as well as obviously Ravage to cancel it. But with Ray Fire Blast, the Arrow, and the Dragon Tail. Oh, excuse me, makes it very difficult for Witch Doctor to get off a decent ult. Just a slow push coming out from them, and with the Nature's Prophet deciding for Rat. Hasn't popped Necrobook yet. Oh, there he goes. And now we'll see the Mjolnir, how good it is at clearing out the creeps. But they're all just going to go for the tower, get some chip damage done. And, oh, that's a lot of damage coming out from that Necro creep. You got to be careful with that. That one hurts. So, the Potom will be back to heal. We drop a sentry, but they are outside of the range of each other. And he does pick up a BKB of his own. Aegis to be claimed in 1 minute, so looks like they're not really going to get a decent Aegis push, which is a bit unfortunate, but they were just farming. As far as net worth goes, Prophet, Marana, Prophet, that is Death Prophet, and then the rest of the Dire, followed by the Radiant. It's not great for them. Death Prophet is getting some farm. Must be working on a Bloodstone, I guess. Just a very strange order with which to buy everything. Excuse me. Invisibility. Viper does have his scepter done, and 2,400 gold in the bank. So imagine we want to see something else tanky, or maybe a offensive item, like a Manta style. Nice Ag Scepter coming out from the Enchantress. So she's going to be hitting very hard. The pure damage from Enchantress when she's level 16 is nuts. Becomes almost a core as far as the ability to deal damage with a very minimal farm. Now that said, she's been playing amazing this game. 10-1 and 7. I didn't even pay attention to that. Sorry guys. Quick kill on the Death Prophet, died before getting the Exorcism off. She does pop it this time, has to BKB run away, just doing too much damage. Witch Doctor did not manage to get his ulti off. Wraith King does go down to the Necro ult, but they're going to be able to take this tower.
Radiant's top tower's hurting.
Enchantress does come in with an urn and everything, so they're able to take the last tier 2 remaining on the map. Nature's Prophet does TP and continue ratting. He did pick up a Blink Dagger, and he's got 4,000 gold in the bank, so he does have buyback. And then some, to say the least. Ooh, Skeleton King, what are you doing? Blinks away. And he's gonna TP out. Dragon Knight's most of the way to his assault carrier, so only about 300 out from the recipe, and then he'll have it. Which is an excellent item to have on the Dragon Knight. It just makes him that much more tanky. Not to mention, as the ulti from Witch Doctor and Death Prophet are both physical, will very, very much help his team up against that, as well as just the extra attack speed and damage coming out from the minus armor and not being very, very effective. Plus with that, he's going to be sitting at around 30, almost 40 armor. No, it'll be like 35 some armor. Viper is clearing some ancients with the help of the AA and the Witch Doctor. S-Pass is going to hit the DK, that'll be a little annoying, but he's not going to go down by any means. And he does pick up his Assault Cuirass. So, good damage going to be coming out from them soon. And he is level 16, so the next time they fight, they will have that Elder Dragon form, which is brutal to fight up against, especially when you're underfarmed, or at least down in XP like they are. 15,000 gold experience points in favor of the Dire team. And they have managed to farm it up. Now they did even out the towers, but this lead is all just farm. I think around 4,000, 3,500. Tide's finally doing some ancients, but I think they were stacked. He does have his refresher up now. Another 3,000 gold in the bank. Man, this Tide is rich this game. Yes, he's 3, 3, and 15. 223 last hits. He's just been pushing out the waves, not letting him get anywhere near his towers. We have a gem up on the Wraith King, so they'll be able to deward as they go, and just slowly start to suck away map vision from the Bat Boys. Prophet is going to be split pushing out. He does have a full Mjolnir now, so his damage is going to actually be fairly decent. They are going to Roche again. Hopefully they'll be able to put this one to better use. Ultimate Orb up for the Mirana. Imagine it's for a Manta, but who knows, could be a Scotty. Would make him very, very tanky. EKB is up for the Viper now as well. We'll see what they decide to do. It is going to be a 5-man push down mid with the smoke, but again, Prophet just managing to delay the game, but I'm thinking it's a bit of a losing battle. He's not delaying the game for anybody. Death Prophet can only get so farmed, and then at a certain point, Exorcism just falls off once you get late game. Viper, not the best here, not the best core carry. Excellent as like a 2 or 3, but as far as a 1 position, you want something that benefits from farm more. Viper just... Oh, they are able to pick off the Nature's Prophet. Imagine that has something to do with a leap arrow as well as a couple blink stuns. So with the rat dead for 60 seconds, he does have buyback, so if they're not careful, they can lose a Rax to a buyback. He does buyback. Is he TPing in, or is he going to TP to a wave? So far, nothing. Hasn't decided where to go yet. And Lotem's just going to back up. They still have the Aegis out. Mirana's going to be farming. We'll be able to see if she wants to go for the Scotty or the Yasha yet. Arrow does fly up top looking for the Prophet.
Top tower.
Doesn't find him.
You know the drill.
Tilting blink. Get the stun. Nope, not in time. Mission's tough around those little corners. Ice Blast coming out. Doesn't connect on anything. So DK's next item, probably an attack speed or damage item. That said, he does already have the stock here, so maybe looking for a Chrysalis or something along those lines. We finally have a finished pipe coming out from the Enchantress. That's good for her. A does pick up a gem of his own, so able to counter some of the wars. Now that said, they only have the 2 out, one in the top lane here, and one on the bottom rune. Tide is being aggressive. If BB were to collapse on him, they could probably bring him down. Oh, we do have a pause coming out. The Wraith King. Not sure what PP stands for. Hopefully it's not the obvious. And Korean. So Viper's got a Ags, Mac, BKB. The Death Prophet is looking towards that Bloodstone. Most of the way there, I want to say. How much is it total? 55-50 or 50-50? Yeah, he's basically there already. Maybe a couple hundred short, but he'll have it in probably once the courier gets the secret shop or after a few more creep waves. Witch Doctor, not really anywhere closer to that getting that scepter, and AA doesn't look like he's anywhere near starting his own. The Nature's Prophet, on the other hand, does have another 1100 gold in the bank. Anything on the Crow? Just smokes. So we'll see what he wants to go for. If he wants to go full rat and get a Desolator, and then just as soon as he gets to a base, just crush it, or if he maybe wants to go back for a now I say a fighting item, but Desolator is a fantastic fighting item. But I mean, a bit more of a team fight item like a Desolator, or not a Desolator, sorry, a Daedalus as well. Maybe get the crit damage coming out from that as well, help him out in the fights a little more. But I think the Desolator would be very good with how tanky the team is with the Assault Cuirass bonus armor. Marana is going for an Eye of Scotty, so interesting choice there. Not an item you normally see. Normally you look for maybe a little bit more damage, but in this case, Scotty is good too. They don't have any other really escape heroes or spells other than just walking away. So if you get one attack on, you can get another, and from there, it's all downhill. Plus, the stats are excellent. It's, I believe, the second most amount of health in the game per item. Hearts were 1,000. Scotty's, I think, 600. 5, 19. Oh, not good at math right now. A timer for the bottom. We do have Viper rotating in. If he can get a Viper strike on there, which with the increased range from the scepter shouldn't be that bad, and doesn't go for it. Not willing to deal with it.
Regeneration.
I'm surprised how much Lotem is letting the game be prolonged, especially against the Nature's Prophet, who, if you aren't constantly on, can force a Rax. And then you have to also be careful that they don't do something sneaky like a Boots of Travel on the Death Prophet when there's a creep wave right up against the enemy barracks. Pop Necro Ult and Prophet and just push down Rax.
Mid tower could use a hand.
But they are just going to push mid finally, which I think is good. DK is eating a fair bit of damage, but it does get mech'd up, and with his natural tankiness, Dragon Blood will slowly heal up.
No breaking down the radiant structures like this.
Marana is just going to sit on the front line and tank it. Viper Strike's coming out, which is good. Gotta keep that stuff spammed. Blink, Wraith Fire Blast, multiple BKBs being popped on the DK and the Viper. And looks like they're gonna back. So far, no ultimates used. We have one Ravage. Unfortunately, doesn't only hits one, as the Viper and the Death Prophet were BKB'd. There's your second Ravage. Still only gets the Viper. Death Prophet's BKB is still up, but at this point it doesn't matter. Marana's gonna make a kill. Look at all the damage coming from that Impetus. And they are gonna go down. A couple buybacks coming out on Death Prophet and the Viper. You get a good Sprout and some damage coming out, and that's gonna be a lot of damage on the Marana. The Aegis does go down. One more buyback on the side of the Radiant. They do. The Marana does BKB, and it looks like he's just gonna walk away. Or maybe they're even gonna turn it. More damage coming out. That's probably gonna go down. No, she's not. Interesting that she didn't just try and run away. She does finish her Scotty. She doesn't. She does have buyback as well, so she can buy back if needed. The Skeleton King is going to be in a tough situation. Is he going to get the blink off? No, he's not. Doesn't bother spending that. They do lose a gem, though, which is unfortunate, to say the least. So, all in all, a decent fight coming out from that, but I think they used 4 buybacks to win that fight. Maybe it was only 3. Oh, no, 4. Profits was already on cooldown. But, still, that's a large gold thing. They have to get a Rax here, otherwise it's not that great. Ravage is on cooldown for 65 and 75 seconds, but with the Glyph and the Marana buyback, they're not going to be able to push out. They're just going to have to back, unfortunately, not able to take any objectives. That said, Nature's Prophet, he is rolling in the dough. He's got 7,000 gold, so he can buy literally whatever he wants. I'm interested to see what he's going to spend his money on. And he is 5,000 ahead of the Marana, who's the next farmed. It's interesting, it's the Nature's Prophet, Marana Tide, DK, and Enchantress on the side of the Dire. Some of the Radiant, and then Eighth King. So we've got much more farm still on the side of the Dire. Tide picks up a Scythe of Vice. That is not a normal Tide. You know, I'm just going to happen to farm one of these. That is a highly farmed Tide. He is 3rd on the net wish charts. I guess he has been living through all the fights and just clearing waves. Anchor Smash, I constantly get pushed in. Now he definitely has enough mana to Ravage twice, and he will have a second Hex, so he can blink, Hex someone, Ravage, refresh. Which, if you can get that on the say the Death Prophet before she's able to get off her exorcism, could be huge. Or even just for canceling the Witch Doctor's Death Ward, as he does not have a BKB and is nowhere near one. But we'll see what they want to do. Are they just going to wait for another Roshan, which spawns in about a minute? Spawn in about a minute. See what they decide to go for. DK's sitting on top of 4,000 gold. Not sure what he's going to want to go for yet. Maybe something like a Chrysalis, Daedalus, or could be a Basher if he wants one. We'll have to wait and see. Marana's got about 1,000 gold in the bank, so I might look to start something else. Imagine it'll be a Mantis style coming out from Marana next. Nature's Prophet still hasn't spent any of his money. He does sell his Midas, so he's. I assume he'll want a Scythe. I assume that's what it's for, yeah. He's gonna pick up a Scythe. Still has 3,000. Buys a Scythe, still has 3,200 in the bank. No big deal. Holla holla, get dollar. Death Prophet's close to finishing the Bloodstone. Again, needs to save some money and hope that there's no fight. Particularly with buybacks, they're back up on the Prophet, down on the Marana, and then the rest of them will be up in about 2 minutes for the Radiant team. So if Lotem doesn't push soon, they might have to potentially deal with multiple buybacks on the side of the Radiant. Which, that said, the Viper and the Death Prophet, they have the gold for it. It's just not off cooldown yet. So we'll have to see what they want to do about that. I imagine they'll just keep shooting for Roche, which Roche is going to be a long respawn time. Another 2 minutes, 10 seconds left on it before it pops back up. Tide is with an Invis-Rune roaming through the jungle, but he's not going to find anything. This Prophet just continues. He's continuing the push. Viper is looking to go for a heart, picks up a Vit booster. So I assume it's a heart. Casual Vit booster is really good if you just need more raw health and don't want to commit to a full item. It is very good for that. 250 health is very nice. Skeleton King hasn't started to transition into a core, but if this keeps going at this pace and it turns into a 70-minute game, he easily could. Died 22 in the bank, just continuing to push the waves and farm away. seems almost like it's just a waiting game. The Lotem team is waiting for either Roshan or to catch out the Nature's Prophet when he's pushing. You can see the Marana is kind of juking back and forth, in and out. But imagine they just want to push the wave. Interesting that they don't just roam, like pop Moonlight Shadow and go find the Nature's Prophet when he's pushing if they see him TP in. Arrow coming out for them. I think it's just a scouting arrow, yeah. They're worrying about the Radiant team who's sitting back just outside their mid-tier, their mid lane, about where their tier 2 was. Being very, very scared. The Prophet is sitting all the way back in the woods.
Pull roots and run.
Does TP bottom once he sees how many of them are top. Gonna push that wave in. 5,000 gold up on him, so look for another item coming out whenever he's ready. Death Prophet does finish the Perseverance, so now just needs the point, not the point booster, the Vitality booster and the I don't even know what it's called. Energy booster. Finish off his Bloodstone, which will be good for him. It'll give him a very nice quick respawn time on his next death, and if they win a couple fights, he'll have an unlimited supply of mana. Mana doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for him right now, but it'll basically let you cast Crypt Swarm without fail every 4 seconds. Now, I wonder if this is a game that goes late enough if you see a Death Prophet go with Refresher Orb. Ulti, wait, and then ulti again. I do not know offhand if they stack. If they all stack, like you can have 2 exorcisms going at once. But if you could, that would be pretty interesting. Looks like they are going to catch out the Nature's Prophet. He does get hexed, and he's going to get brought down. But like I said, just slowly waiting to see if they can catch him out, and I imagine now we'll see a push. Roshan does spawn as well, so they'll be able to take down Roshan way before he Nature's Prophet is back up, and I imagine they'll push mid lane off this. That said, Viper does have an Invis rune. They are going to scout it with an Ice Blast. Flies with a far only hits on the Marana. Moonlight Shadow popped as well as the pipe. The Enchantress is dropping low. Spotted by a sentry board placed by, I assume, the Witch. No, sorry, the AA. Defensive smoke pops out. BKB coming out from the Dragon Knight. And they are going to bring down the Nature's Prophet again. Who I believe got back for that. Yes, he did. But without their rat down, they just have to hope to be able to take a team fight, which is going to be very hard. How did I miss this? They lost to Rax off that one. Prophet must have TP'd out and pushed it down. I was focusing on the fight.
Roche is tough, but the Dire's tougher still.
And the mid lane push resumes. Tide does pick up his travel, so that hopefully they won't lose another Rax to the rat. But his team, all their cores, they are pushing mid. DK ulti does wear off, but I don't think he cares too much right now. They are going to quickly deal with the melee Rax and then the ranged Rax. Pretty sure they're not even going to worry about the Ice Blast that just came through. And they're going to rotate to the top lane. They do bring down the courier with had 3,800 gold on it. What was in it? Not sure right now at the moment. Must have been the rest of Death Prophet's Bloodstone. One Ravage comes out, and there's the second one. They are going to get 2 kills on this. A couple of buybacks coming out. Witch Doctor ulti does come out, and it is an Ags doing a fair bit of damage. They do manage to take down the Ring King once, but so far it's not great. A lot of damage coming out from the Lightning Procs on the Marana. She is going to lose the Aegis. And so far nothing burnt other than just the free revives. Skeleton King is really hurt, but doesn't really seem to care. They're going to take their top Rax. And imagine this will be GG. Prophet is back and can TP out and try and base race. He does have his Necro book up. Surprised he doesn't do that. Decides to pop it down here and win the fight. Let's pop his BKB. End is gonna go down, and this will be the GG call.
Double kill.
I assume.
Could use a little help. There goes Radiant's bottom tower.
Oh, apparently not. They're gonna fight. They're gonna make him destroy all their buildings. Oh, never mind. Does come out.
Didn't make it. Get a load of Radiant's bottom.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to the cast. As you can see, Lotem takes DP in a decent back and forth match. It wasn't super exciting, but still, it was a interesting game to watch with all the back and forth action and pushing, as well as having to defend. Thanks for tuning in. This was Wolf Dota casting the KDL. Now, sorry about the game. The cast wasn't the best, I understand, and thank you for bearing with me if you watched all the way through to the end. And have a good night.